I got 2 words for you. Stop it. Let's do things different and stop this dysfunction. For all of us who dislike talking about politics, well, I feel your pain.
Welcome to New Hope Media, the media that impacts lives. My name is Darlene Ide, and today I have the pleasure to introduce to you Rosalie Bingham. Rosalie is a thriving businesswoman and founder and executive director of Local Sparx. She's a technology investor and a business developer. She has vetted, funded, and led numerous startups, and she has 22 years of experience with a life passion in supporting economically viable solutions that enhance environments through education and community awareness. Thank you so much, Rosalie, for coming here today and talking to us about what you do. So tell us how you got started with Local Sparx and how did you get to this point today?
I first worked with the casinos in processing waste into energy. That's how I started back in 2017. And when we realized we did a lot of work, however, it wasn't economically viable because of some regulations and things like that. So I was still very much passionate about how are we going to utilize this huge landfill, because Las Vegas has the largest landfill in the nation and the second largest in the world, next to Mexico, who's got 22 million people in their city. So we have a very large landfill. So I was thinking, as an investor, which you said I was an investor and entrepreneur, for me, everything needs to have an economic base so that it can sustain itself and not be reliant on subsidies. So I founded Local Sparx, which is a B corporation, which means for public benefit. So it's a hybrid between a nonprofit and a C corporation. And the difference is that it's a B corporation so that the public gets the most benefit and then the profits get shared between the collaborators. So I thought, bonus, it's a great model. So I was the Industrial Hemp Farmer of the Year in Nevada, and I realized that if we could grow our own food and process our own waste, which is one of the things that we're doing, and then build affordable communities for the people that are being the collaborators working inside of the facilities, or the growing or controlled environment agricultural is what they're called. We could then create three things actually. This is a bonus, so it's really cool. Is that one is that we create jobs for veterans and for people that are collaborators looking for to help the community and places to live. And 2, we could sustain this program by selling the excess food. And we've been talking with Caesar's Palace and Station Casinos and to talk to them about buying our produce that we would be producing. And and 3 is that just in case there was ever a power or transportation, internet outage, which we have seen that happen a lot. So we're the plan B, the just in case. If that ever happened, these communities would be able to benefit the whole entire neighborhoods around them. So and then 4 is it returns profit back to the investors. So as an investor, I looked at this and thought, wow, this is really a perfect scenario to invest in things that are going to benefit the majority in the community, and if not all in the community. I don't see how it wouldn't benefit everyone in the community to look at it, and then the collaborators get paid to help create this sustainable solution that benefits the majority, especially if there's a crisis.
Right, that's amazing.
Right?
Yeah. So you came up with this idea. Is that Local Sparx mission, or like?
Local Sparx mission is to design and develop sustainable communities. That's our mission. Okay. Now that's a very general mission because it's not just about sustaining business, like resilient communities and recycling. It's not that. It's that and business development, because it's not just about this one solution. This one solution is the first one that we're doing right now, right? Mm-hmm. However, if there's another solution that has as great of impact as this has, we would go forward and help that solution with getting funding and getting the traction it needs to get into the public to help the public. So this is the first one I just talked about is the first, we call them community action groups that come together and support solutions that benefit the greater good. Mm-hmm. There's nothing we can't solve, no problem we can't solve if we all work together on the solution. There is nothing that we can't solve. And yet we have this division that's happening right now, and this contention, which I believe is orchestrated to keep us divided so that they use fear. There's fear and control with that. So to circumvent that, there's no need to fight, because when you start fighting about something, then there has to be an opponent, right? Mm-hmm. So instead, if we were to collaborate on the best solutions that have the highest chance of being successful with the best return on investment for everyone involved, we can just start solving problem after problem after problem. However, I've heard that, the word, we're living the dream. I believe that we should dream it, then test it, then live it.
Okay.
I think that we can dream a dream and create little pods that have the best chance of success, that don't have to deal with some of the snafus that we're dealing with. Mm-hmm. And we can do that in a transparent way, and when we do that, we can actually test to see what models work, and the ones that work, then we scale those into different demographics, because just because it works in one, mm-hmm. it might not work in another. So you scale those into different demographics, and then what happens is then you scale those into a bigger reality, and when those results are evident, then you scale those into a bigger reality. Because I think if we just slowed down a little bit and made intentional steps in the right direction, mm-hmm. we could solve a lot of problems. And instead of blindly just chasing after one thing after another, and this is the way to do it, is a slow process. Mm-hmm. However, a very effective process, and minimize mistakes, which is, as an investor, a really key part of it.
And I see that this is you're really passionate about this, and where did it come from? Like, why do you feel like this is so important, or why does it touches you so much?
Well, the main thing is I've come from 4 generations of Nevadans, mm-hmm. and when I came back to Las Vegas and I saw that, if there's a problem, we don't have a really good solution mm-hmm. to sustain life here for very long. Right. We only have 2 days of food and water on our shelves. So that's a real problem. So when I saw this happening, and I was involved in the waste to energy already industry, I thought, we've got to utilize this asset, which is our waste, and promote it to create sustainable living. And the most important part of this is that I believe my generation is probably going to be okay, but I'm not so sure about my kids or my grandkids. And it's important that we look out for each other.
Yeah.
So one of my main things is to create a better society and leave it better than what we got here.
Exactly. That's beautiful. So tell us, you have these community action groups. So what kind of sparked this type of local Sparx? But what sparked this idea? Like, why do you feel like it's so important for us to have these communities, these local community action groups?
Because there isn't any problem that we can't solve if we all put our heads together. It's one thing I have learned is that we're stronger and better together. And I was working with the casinos in 2017 about how to utilize their waste and create more regenerative communities. And I realized that it wasn't economically viable. However, we have come up with a solution that is economically viable, because as an investor, we want to be able to make sure that everything that we do is sustainable, including our investments and including our projects. They need to stand on their own 2 feet and have revenue so that they don't have to wait for someone to donate to them, that they can actually move forward on their own. We develop these community action groups because everybody has what they're good at. And so we have different leaders that lead, for instance, if it's in financial, if it's a legal, if it's a production question, a marketing question. We have people that are leaders in those lanes, and then if it's something that that's important to you, then you can get right into that lane and know who to contact so that you can get your answers and your opinions and your expertise to the right type of people that can move forward with with anybody that has a collaborative mindset that want to help. So the community action groups meet on Thursdays at noon. It's on our website. If you go to Local Sparx, that's local SPARX.com, and scroll down, you'll see a Zoom call there, and it may be called regenerative, but it's a Zoom call, and it's on Thursdays at noon, from noon to noon 30. We make it quick and short and simple so that we know exactly what we're doing, and there's not a lot of fluff. It's really to the point, and so everybody can take 30 minutes of their lunch hour on Thursdays and get edified, educated, and a little bit of entertainment, because it can get kind of funny.
Sounds good. Okay, so you have a community action group here in Las Vegas. What is the name, or?
Yeah, the name is Vegas Vets.
Vegas Vets. Okay, so tell me how far along you've gotten with this group, and what is y'all goal, plan, what have y'all done so far, and where are you guys going?
A lot, a lot. We've got land that we have. That we're going to put a 5,250 square foot vertical greenhouse on. We have identified the structure that we're going to place and the cost that will be placed there. And we have participants that are lining up, or I guess getting ready to go through some training. We first start off with not hydroponic growing. To grow hydroponically, we start off with growing emotional intelligence to start with. We believe that if everyone's emotional intelligence was increased, that we could expand our thinking and solve a lot more problems a lot more collaboratively and probably a lot more quickly, because we're not going to be limited in our beliefs and in the dysfunctions, right? Because we don't want to fight against a system that's dysfunctional. What we want to do is create a new business model that makes the dysfunction obsolete. Now there's no fighting. There's just, this makes better sense. It's logical to move forward with something that makes better sense, right? So we have these veterans that are getting ready to do what we would call emotional intelligence education and awareness classes that empowers them and gives them a higher level of thinking about how to solve problems and how to work well with others. And we know veterans have already a lot of team player abilities, and the young adults are anxious to get involved in these sustainable regenerative. We call them regenerative because which happens to be the nonprofit that's associated with this, but regenerative because we're repairing damage. We're not sustaining it, we're repairing the damage. So that's what regenerative means.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
Do you have any last minute words or anything that you would like to tell our viewers about Local Sparx, what you plan to do, and why they should get involved?
Yeah, all hands on deck. All hands on deck. Apathy is no longer an option. We all have to live on this planet, and why not live peacefully and abundantly? Scarcity is propaganda. That is not what we were designed to be on this planet for, and we have these viable solutions. We're testing them so we can see transparently that they make sense, and if you're just going to complain, then you're part of the problem. So be part of the solution instead of just complaining, and get involved.
Thank you so much, Rosalie, for coming here today and giving us this wonderful information about what Local Sparx is doing.
Thank you for having me, Darlene, and all of you. Thank you.